As you know, these videos are purely my opinion, and you may have a different opinion, and I absolutely respect that. I'm very grateful to the lovely viewers who have recently written to their MPs about a number of things, and they've shared their concerns with their MP, and then the responses they've sent to me as well, so I get a chance to see what the MP has said, and it's been very enlightening. I did think that I could do a video in which I just read out all the responses, but pretty much the responses are all the same. For example, a number of people have written to their MPs and they've shared the responses with me about the vaccine. They've been concerned, just in the same way that Andrew Bridgen was concerned, with the fact that there have been some harms as a result of this one-size-fits-all medical procedure that's been injected into the arms of people, and some people have had some very terrible effects. And it's not just stopped. Some people have had those effects immediately, and some people have had them some time later, depending on whether they've had boosters or additional medical interventions as well. And the thing is, when people have been worried and they've gone to their MPs and they've said, do you know what, dear MP, you there working for us in our constituency, making sure that our voices are heard back at the government headquarters, we've been slightly worried that there are these problems with this medical intervention, and I've heard or experienced, or it's happened to a friend of mine or a relation of mine or somebody down the road who's had some problem with this thing, and we're not quite sure that it should be rolled out ever again, or should be stopped, or should be prevented, or there should be some compensation, or there should be at least some measure going back to the government to let them know that it's been a complete and utter cock-up and that people have been harmed. And so they've said that to their MP in not necessarily those words, but very similar. And the MP has come back almost as if it was a special templated letter to say, well, I'm afraid to say that we're very much in favour of these medical procedures because they are tested. They've gone through some stringent testing, and they've been sorted all out in the right proper way, and that they're safe and effective and all the rest of it, despite the fact that it is still an experimental situation with a novel way of approaching it with the mRNA spike protein inside there. But even so, the MPs keep coming back and saying, no, there's no problem whatsoever with it. Safe and effective. Everyone says the same phrase, almost as if that's been dictated to them by central government. And so they've pushed away the people who've been writing to their MPs. And as I was reading these replies, I thought to myself, hang on a minute, this is a bit strange, because it's almost like they're a representative of the government, instead of what I understood, and maybe I'm a bit thick, I probably am, I thought the Member of Parliament was a member of the society from which he is living, or that's his constituency, that he has a surgery and people come in and they voice their complaints and they voice their worries and they say, we've got this problem and that problem, or we would like to do this, could you help me with that? And that the MP is then supposed to, using the machinations of the government, to assist those people because they voted him in, that he is working for them, the people are paying his wages, and that when he goes up to the House of Commons and into Parliament and does the speaking of lies, parliment, you know, speak lies, that he is then supposed to go up there and say, look, my constituencies, I've had letter after letter after letter saying that we're a bit unhappy with this situation, might be a certain medical procedure, might be 15-minute cities that we don't really want, might be digital IDs, might be digital bank central bank digital currency, might be the whole policy of net zero, could be a whole range of different things that a number of people are just not happy with the ideas that the government are pushing down the line, and they're saying, no, we don't really want those. Thanks very much for offering them. Very kind of you. Very nice of you to think of us, but actually we decided that we would really like to be free. We don't want to be herded into an area with smart lampposts that are spying on us, with i.e. listening to our conversations through these devices in the house, or looking at us through our phone and mapping out our faces for biometrics. We don't want any of that, thank you very much. We'd like you to switch all that off and abandon any plans whatsoever that you have for that. And yet the MPs, who, as I say, I must have misunderstood this when they were being voted in, seemed to be going, well, actually, these aren't views I'm going to take up. I'm not going to say anything about the medical intervention that people have had recently. I'm not going to talk about that and tell the other members of Parliament that my constituencies are worried about it. I'm going to say that they're all fine. It's all great. They love it. They want it, which of course is another lie. I don't think people on the whole do want to be enslaved and viewed and monitored and have carbon credits and be graded and have their bank details known everywhere and every bit of their health details shared here and there and everywhere with third parties. I don't think people do want that personally. That's my intuition. I haven't asked everybody, of course, but it seems to me in a free society, why would you want to be watched and viewed and all of that? All just for your convenience, for your security, for your health. And maybe it is. Maybe that's why we have people being shipped in these little boats, so that we have disruptors coming and say, "Oh, whoa, we've got all these people. They've come in and we've put them in hotels and we put them in all sorts of other little places wherever we can. And, you know, they don't really fit into society and we haven't been able to process them and we can't send them back because we're incompetent. And now things are kicking off and there's all sorts of problems with culture and relations with people who don't actually have been born here and part of the thing. And so, but really, for your security and for your health, we better have more cameras watching you, everything that you do, even in the little room when you're taking a you-know-what. We'll have a camera there, just in case, you know, there's a problem, or in case that you conspire in any shape or form against the government. Oh, heaven forbid we do any of that." So I don't think these MPs are taking all these messages, all these concerns, all these worries and taking them back up to head office and mentioning it. I think they're just saying, no, it's all fine, everybody loves it, yes, roll it out. And I think the main government are just saying to the MPs, don't listen to them. Don't listen to those plebs down there that you talk to. Don't listen to them. Just make sure, try and placate them as much as possible, lie and tell them we're doing everything we can. Of course, we're looking after everything. And yes, I hear your concern, but it's all safe. Just lie, tell them any old crap. And in the meantime, we will make sure that we end up with this wonderful dictatorship where we're the bosses and they have nothing to say and nothing to do, and they will be enslaved. That's the way it seems. Even if it's not true, that's the way it appears. It feels like that. It feels like the MPs, members of Parliament, are not actually listening. And I quipped the other day that MPs, more like military police. I don't think that the MPs that we have are, as such, members of Parliament, but they seem to be more like military police, ready to enforce the diktats that are coming down the line. It doesn't seem to be that they are for us. It doesn't seem as if the government is actually a benevolent government after all. I used to think that it was. I used to think that they were working for us. How can that be? We voted them in. We pay their wages. And yet somehow, this is how it feels to me, as if they have decided, no, we're going to decide your future. We're going to cram you in. We're going to stop you from going out into the countryside. We're going to prevent you from having that. We're going to give you 5G and start frying your brain. We're going to make sure that we watch you everywhere you go and that everything that you do is related to how well you behave and what your freedom is and how much we want to curtail it. That's, it seems to me, exactly what the role of government has become. And in fact, they don't seem to be in charge themselves, because there does seem to be the puppet masters above them who sit in Davos, ex-prime ministers, billionaires who think they run the world and want to play God. Seems to me, and I may be wrong because it is only an opinion, but it seems to me that that is the nature of the situation going on. How do you feel about it? Do you feel that that's what's happening? Do you feel that your MP is working in your favour? That when you go is actually helping you? That if you have a problem or you are worried about a certain medical procedure, or if you're not very keen to have a 15-minute city in which you can't go down the road, that your your vehicle of freedom, that conveyance that's called a motor car, that if you were to get in it, you're going to be taxed on it. Even tyre tax, is that the thing that's coming in next? Or the ULEZ scheme is being expanded to beyond ridiculousness. Do you feel that these people in authority are actually working for you? Or do you feel that actually the oppression of it all is getting bigger and bigger and more noticeable, and you can see the bared teeth and the red piercing eyes? Can you see the hate that's in their faces? Can you see that? Do you feel that? Is that your opinion too? Or do you feel that they are incredibly benevolent and working in your favour and bending over backwards to do everything for you? I'd love to know, because from my point of view, it doesn't feel like that they are on our side at all. I can't see the point of MPs, members of parliament. I can't see the point now of the government, the two parties, the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, without a fag paper between them. One wants it to go this distance and the other one wants it to go even more. Can you feel that? Do you sense that they're actually there working to help us, to look after us? I mean, I'd be fascinated to know if that is the case, because I may be mind-bogglingly wrong somehow. I must be in an alternative universe. Maybe it's just me that is completely wrong, and I may well be, and I'm putting my hands up to say, yes, I could well be wrong. But we have an opportunity. People are saying, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. We'll just roll over. We're all enslaved. It's the end of the world. There's nothing we can do, which is a terrible situation to be in, if you ask me. And yet there will be at some point a vote where the people will, that the government will be dissolved temporarily, and people will be there asked to vote in the next bunch of dictators to come in. And the thing is, we don't have to do it, do we? We don't have to vote for anyone. I'm deregistering. I don't want to be part of the system. Some people have said to me, but Richard, if you're not part of the system, you can't have a say in the side. What difference will my say in the side have? What difference would it make? Much more for me if I say, do you know what? You are irrelevant to me. All these rules, all these diktats, all this horrible stuff that you want to enforce on us, this enslavement that you want to bind us and capture us with. I don't want that. I don't want to be part of that. I don't even want to be on your system. I'm going to be back to being a living man, a free man, freedom. I would rather that more people, if they wanted to, and it's entirely up to them, deregistered and started to form their own party, their own government, and said, well, you go and sit over there in that big house, but I'm not going to pay your wages. I'm not going to be part of your nonsense anymore. That we, the people, are going to do our own thing, because there is more of us. And if we had our own government, somebody who did represent us, somebody who said, do you know what, 15-minute cities sounds like a poor idea. The net zero, not really convinced about the science for global warming. Maybe we should examine that a lot more detailed and just once and for all really work it out, rather than being told left, right and centre all over the place. Yeah, maybe we should have our own government. Maybe we don't want central bank digital currency. Maybe we don't even want a fiat currency at all. Maybe we want a currency that's not based on debt, but based on credit. Maybe we want a different system altogether. Maybe the Houses of Parliament and all you people in it are just dinosaurs now, wanting to take more power. Maybe we don't want any of that. I don't know. It's just an opinion. Maybe the people have decided that enough is enough. They don't want to be surveilled by cameras left, right and centre, and go into a supermarket and have biometrics in there and have somebody else decide whether you're good enough, a good enough citizen to buy your food this week, whether you want to have a fresh farmed food, or whether you want to eat insects. I think that people can make their own decision, and we need people who represent us, not the other way round, not representing the government. Just my own personal opinion, mind you. You might have a different opinion. You might like being dictated, told when you are locked up inside your house, being sat in front of monitors, watching everything you do. You might love having them listening into your conversations when you're selecting some music. You might want them looking at you through the phone and recording everything you say to your partners. You might want all of that, and if you do, you're very welcome to want all of that, of course. I, on the other hand, I'm not so keen on that, in actual fact. That's why my house doesn't have one of those ringing telephone, those doorbell things that has a camera in it so that it can be connected to the internet of eyes and spy on you and know when you come home and when you go out. I personally don't want any of that. In fact, I want to get rid of my mobile phone, make sure it doesn't listen to me, and turn my internet off at night and be hardwired rather than having Wi-Fi all the time, which can be intercepted by other people. It's just my own personal opinion, you understand. I just want to be free. I don't want these governments that want to dictate to you and are being manipulated by people in a different country, by billionaires who think that they are gods. That's not what I want. I want freedom. I want a different system of government. I want a system in which the people are part of it and not being pushed aside. I don't know if that's too much to ask in this day and age, in a sophisticated, cultivated, urbane society. Maybe it is. But before it's too late, I want to hold on to my freedom, if you don't mind. And maybe, just maybe, some of you do too.